session 4 of Talent Quest International Webinar Series. Today, we continue our powerful journey of reimagining education in the age of AI, exploring that how technology can be shaped to serve every voice, not just a few. We are truly honored to have with us a distinguished scholar and a mentor very close to our hearts, Dr. Muhammad Taufiq Al Makmun, who will be speaking on deeply relevant and thought-provoking topic, which is decolonizing the algorithm, centering global South voices in AI education. Dr. Taufiq is head of English department at University of Sebelas Madrid, Surakarta, Indonesia. He has dedicated more than 2 decades to teaching, research, and academic leadership. He also holds a PhD in American Studies from Bowling Green State University, USA, is a Fulbright scholar, and a master's degree from Utrecht University in Netherlands. In 2023 to 2024, he has taught at Bowling Green State University, sharing his expertise globally. His academic interests span American civilization, culture, literature, English education, and critical thinking, making him an inspiring voice in global conversations about education and technology. Today's session is also special because, as Sarvakas already shared in the group, Dr. Taufiq has been his teacher of language policy and implementation. He's had the honor of working with him closely in research and learning from him in many sessions as well. So this session surely holds a special place for all of us. Here is a quick reminder for everyone. Please make sure to mark your attendance through the Google Form link that would be shared in the chat. It would be shared twice in the beginning and at the end of the session as well. This is important to record your participation officially. Sarvakas, now I'd like to invite you on the stage. The stage is yours now.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah, good evening and good afternoon if you are connecting from African countries and alike. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us today. It's truly heartwarming to see all of you again, the educators, professors, the learners, and the researchers again. For more than 20 years, experiences, even we have some participants, and more than 20 countries, if I state, from all the way to undergraduate till PhD, and the lecturers, Professor Dr. Muhammad Taufiq Al Makmun, welcome to the Talent Quest once again. We will never forget your past session, and I'm really hopeful that today's session is going to be one to remember. Today's session, for me, it feels personal and like a home, because interacting with you in the classrooms, in different seminars, especially with the Javanese culture and the research experiences with you. So if I go ahead, I'm sorry if my connection is not good, my voice, because we are having trouble today with our Wi-Fi over here. So the voice may seems a bit crunchy, but thank you for your patience all. So before we begin, I would leave you all with 2 questions to think about when you listen to today's session. The first question I would share with you that how does artificial intelligence reflect the biases of the cultures that it has created. And also, how can the educators like we, make sure that the technology does not shape overall thinking, but rather what we think also remain there. Because when we use AI, we feel that our real essence is now neglected and ignored. So that's why we will be talking about algorithm and the AI's work and influence on human mind and inside education, I would say. So with that, it's my honor to invite Professor Dr. Taufiq Al-Makmun to begin his talk, Decolonizing the Algorithm, Centering Global South, Voices in AI Education. Sir, I'm really happy to have you again, and kindly, yeah, I would like to make a request on behalf of the participants. They want the session more interactive and engaging and a discussion based rather than one lecture. And this is just a request. Uh, the rest is up to your ease and feasibility. So, Professor Dr. Taufiq Al-Makmun, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Wakos, Avis, and also Iswa for the introduction. Yeah, I'm really honored and to be here to share what is it and involved within the conversation. And I hope what I will share will be useful. And I also am listening to what is it like the request. Yeah, maybe there will be like a more interactive. At least I might prepare also like some questions that in between the presentation that you may be involved and what do you call it to have more interactive. I hope that what is it, even though maybe it's not like the entire session, but we also have, I do believe, the question and answer session by what is it like at the end of the talk. Can I share screen?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay. Okay, is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is on screen. It's I will talk based on this idea on the theme of decolonizing the algorithm, centering global South voices in AI education. And I think some brief introduction that already been delivered by Wakos already like a gift, also the introduction of what I will be doing. And I hope I will also answer the request from the talent quest that I need to talk within the idea of humanizing education in the age of AI. So because of the connection, is that okay if I like switch off my camera? But because we have thing on screen, okay? So sometimes we have okay, so can you hear my voice by now?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, okay. So I would like to begin with what Morgan just said. So when I got invitation to talk from Wakos to continue in this talent quest, actually I also read an article in the Guardian. Yeah, so it was by Crystal Megan, which is also a PhD student at the University of Vermont. And it is very interesting when she like deliver a question. What will the AI revolution mean for the global South? And my talk today will be about this too. Yeah, so I think like why this then becoming relevant. So this article was published in The Guardian like 2 months ago. So really when I got like this invitation to talk today. So what we will be discussing is very relevant, but also it is a challenge as an educator, what we could do in the future to answer this question, or even like a current challenge that we need to think about, that the AI revolution is not neutral tide that lifts all boats. For the global south, it risks being a tsunami that washes away local knowledge. So later on I can share my slide, and when you click this one, you can go to the actual article published 2 months ago in the Guardian. So based on this quote that I could take from Megan, that the AI revolution is not a neutral tide that lifts all boats. For the global south, it risks being a tsunami that washes away local knowledge and entrenches the existing power imbalances. So let that metaphor sink for a moment, by the way, tsunami. In Indonesian context, it's pretty much like it reminded me of what happened in Indian Ocean in 2004, which was part of Indonesia in Aceh, like washed away by the tsunami. So it is not a gentle wave of progress, but a potentially destructive force. So this is a distant abstract future. It's already here. So this tsunami is already reaching our source. It is in our classroom, in our curricula, and the educational technology tools we are being told will revolutionize learning. So today, I want to address the central urgent question as we rise to, as we like rushing to the humanized education with AI, whose humanity are we actually centering and who gets left behind? So I think like in the introduction, Wakos also coining a question, how does AI reflect the biases of culture? So I think it's also becoming the central question that I want to focus on today. So decolonizing the algorithm is a response to this challenge. It is a call to action to ensure that the AI revolution in education becomes a force for genuine equity, not a new wave of digital colonialism. So I use the term digital colonialism over here. Now let's take a look on the diagram that I put over there on a screen. Data colonialism and then algorithm of operation, the new Jim code. So of course it's not my turn. So I was referring to several thinkers and philosophers focusing on this. I think is very great criticism regarding the tsunami of the digital age by the coming of technologies such as AI. So the first book, the first term that I would like to bring above the table is the data colonialism as a new form of resource extraction where our very lives and knowledge are mined as raw data for corporate profit. So to understand what's happening, we need the right vocabulary, right? Yeah, so let's take a look at this three vocabulary. It sounds complicated, but I will explain because theoretically it is important to understand this conception to think about decolonizing the algorithms that I will point out later. Scholars like Nick Coldry and Ulysses Mejias call this data colonialism. And then secondly, this data then fuels what Xavier Umoha Noble terms algorithm of expression. So Xavier is, what is it, from University of California, UCLA in Los Angeles. And then she defined that the system that actively reinforces racist and sexist stereotype, as she brilliantly documents in her research on search engines. So let's take a look at the search engines. This is what Ruha Benjamin from Berkeley also point out, that where discrimination is engineered into the very architecture of our technology, hiding behind the facade of neutrality and objectivity. It's biased with a brand new high-tech gloss. So technology, when sometimes we already been like blinded by the technology because it is complicated, and then it's very easy for us to fall with the idea or thinking that technology is, because of its sophistication, it must be representing the objectivity. I think it's also debatable, right? When we think that way. So I think starting from this critical thinking of data colonialism and then algorithm of operation and the new Jim Code. When Ruha Benjamin talk about Jim Code, is talking about the what do you call it? What happened in the U.S. South during Jim Crow's laws, the separate but equal. Now, I would like to move to philosopher coming from New Zealand, Linda Tuhiwai Smith. So she is right now working in a research center locally called as Te Ware Wananga o Awanularangi. And she used to work in University of Waikato. And I think it's very important to take her idea above the border. For me, like from the location of epistemic location of cultural studies, we can also take her idea of decolonizing methodologies to be a very important foundational thought. Yeah. So let's use decolonizing knowledge as our foundational compass. There is a crucial point. Yeah, so this is not new. To understand the AI of today, we must look to the research paradigms of the past. The work of Linda Tuhiwai Smith, particularly Decolonizing Methodologies, I think the first edition came out in 2006, is our essential compass to directing us within this discussion today. She shows us how Western research has historically been an extractive, colonizing project, treating indigenous and global South people as objects to be studied, not as partners in knowledge creation. Let's highlight this criticism. And Tuhiwai Smith in her book also, highlighting that research is a dirty word because this is like a Western mindset and then putting indigenous people to be the object of the research. So I think her proposal is that try to coining the idea of partnership in knowledge creation, co-creation. Yeah. So then I will use this as my core argument in this decolonizing algorithm, that our large language models and educational AI are the new archives of this extractive logic. They are, in a sense, imperialism archived in algorithms. So back to previous idea of algorithm of operation that coined by Nobel, that the algorithm or the data sources dominated by certain paradigm could be an oppressive tools because it might negate different identity which is not included within the structure of the data. While people who use the data seems already been blinded by the sophistication of the technology by calling them as being objective and like something trustworthy source of data. So why algorithm? So I think it is like something that what Ruha Benjamin used the terms Jim Code. Yeah. So I think this is the colonial wound that actually opened it up again, like being mirrored by the coming of AI. So it is mirroring the structure of those colonial world. By now is through the data. So, for example, I would like to give one example, culturally. An AI, for example, interpret an Indonesian pitra. This is a communal tradition, but I think it's also coming from Arabic word, or a folktale as illogical because it is based on communal tradition. It is based on a spatial cultural belief, which is not equally believed within a Western society. So when we use the paradigm, the Euro-American centric paradigm, it might be called as illogical. Its data lacks the context to understand the communal wisdom. Because I think maybe some of you are already familiar with the idea of like the separation between Western mindset and also what do you call it, the Eastern mindset, that also used by the Linda Tuhiwa Smith in this case. Second example that I would like to bring forward is, for example, in the case of linguistic or pedagogical, an AI tutor trained on standardized English misunderstand the nuance of grammar of Indonesian English speakers or flags collaborative work as cheating. So let's take a look the idea of validity. So when right now, I mean, there is no specific like a standard, what so-called a standardized English. Well, yes, we might like referring to what do you call it, British English. But what standardized English when English already been like a spoken globally within different location and then developed socio-culturally different because of the local aspect. So what is standardized English when English now becoming Englishes? So it could be unfair if Singaporean that already speaking English because it is like their everyday language, but of course their accent, their dialect are pretty much affected by their local or Malay, for example, or even Chinese because of the identity of people living in Singapore. And then is that fair if we call that Singaporean English that use okay lah, I don't know lah, for example, not considered to be English? Or even if I speaking using like a South American South accent, hey yo, do you want to have something yo? This is like an everyday language that we cannot say that it is not English, but it's rather Englishes. But if we consider them as a, what is it, like not the standard one, and then it is not valid. Yeah. So meaning that there is like a voices that being erased. Yeah. So let's now think through about our everyday life, how bias, how technology, for example, dominated by particular information, Euro-American centric information, or Westerns, in the idea of Occidental becoming the through Edward Said ideas. I try to recall like before I mentioned the Western and the Eastern one. Now it's come to my mind. So I want to point out Edward Said. Yeah. So this is epistemic blindness, the refusal of the system to recognize other ways of knowing as valid. So can we imagine if our identity, our culture considered invalid because the measurement, the way of judging the information or the expression is not using the location or the context that we use. let's think about the justice. Let's think about domination. Let's think about marginalization. What if our data is not recorded within the structure, and then when we speak within our data, it is considered wrong or considered invalid? So I think that's the data language that might be equal with the idea of identity erasure, just because they are not the dominant or holding the power. Okay, as I promised, following in line with what Wakos already mentioned. Now, I have this question, and how to participate. I hope it works. So I would like to bring you to so think through about this question. Based on your experience, what is one word that describes how biased or culturally blind AI makes you or your students feel? Yeah. As we've just seen, this is an abstract problem. I'd like you to think about your own classroom, institution, or research. Yeah. So I would like to use the AHA slide so you can submit your answer. Let me. Is it on screen? Is it visible? So you can use your phone, or you can just, what is it? Use this. Can you sit? Can you see this? What is it? So yeah, I only have like a 50 participants by now. So the 51st answer will be on screen. So you can just type ahaslides.com and then put the code HG8F2. So like based on, can you be there, or you can just use, let me try. Okay, yeah, so already like, yeah, frustrated, yes, maybe. Yeah. Because when you try to prompt information, like you're not the feeling of being not represented over there, misunderstood, yes. Western, yes. See, yeah, that it is not our representation. The feel of being lost, invisible. Yeah, this is very important keyword too. Yeah, lost, like you don't know where you are. Like you believe that the technology will be objective, but you feel like the feeling of loss, then feel lazy. And then let's think through this psychologically if we use AI in our education. So meaning that we need to carefully think about this. Disappointed, yeah. The information is not something that you expected, but it's keep coming. Yeah. Or you need to dig deeper to get the information that might you think will represent what is it, you, your identity, or your context, or your sociocultural, or your ideology. Feeling excluded, that's true. I think it's the bigger one, meaning that you feel connected with the what is it, with the same or you type the same answer. Depression, unproductive, disturbing, look down. See, like all the negative implications psychologically. So as an educator, as a researcher, academician, we might think through this feeling if we would like to use the for example, AR structure in our classroom. So what might be like the possible impact if you use them in your classroom? Okay, so let's leave it that way. Yeah, so I hope that so this is also to make sure that you're like following what is it, the course that I instructed right now. And so, yeah, thank you for participating. So now allow me to move on. Yes, some of you actually mentioning about like being lost, like not being represented. So digital misrecognition and the student soul. Let's think about in the structure of education, for example, in the field of education, what happened with the students? So they need a guidance. Yeah, otherwise, the discrimination can touch the souls of the student uh, for the feeling of being frustrated or whatever psychological negative feeling that you just posted in my previous question in AHA slide. So yes, it is a psychological cost when the intelligent tool invalidates your reality. So how can you imagine that your reality, your contact, seems refused by the technology that we think objective, and it could be the source of answers? It creates a digital misrecognition. It's just like we have our own mirror, but the reflection is not us. This is like a profound harm where students' identity and culture are rendered invisible. Some of you also mentioning about being invisibilized by the system or considered to be pathological, yeah, or parasite, or the others, or difference, or it's not necessary to recognize, to acknowledge. Connecting to D'Ignacio and McLean, I will use heavily this idea of data feminism, yeah, in the way that feminism is like acknowledging those hidden identity, those hidden data to be visibilized above the border. So let's use this as an approach. By understanding that data is not raw, whatever presented in the AI, whatever collected in the AI, it is cooked, and the data fed to AI is like a cook presented, curated by Euro-American worldview, or whoever power that holding the authority to data feeding. As we know that AI just what do you call it, as a machine that is being trained and fed with the data. Let's think about, for a Global South student, this feels like being told once again, your knowledge is not valid here. So I think it's justify your feeling and your information. And I think like if we are like in the in those Global South location, socioculturally, geographically, or economically, we have this feeling of being unrepresented. So the data that power our educational AI is cooked. So this is one thing that we need to think about. When your knowledge, your story, your way of being in the world does not count, it reinforces what scholars call as coloniality of being. So in this case, I use the term from Mignolo and Escobar in the decoloniality. So once again, it is mirroring our past experience of the colonialized world. Now, let's move to how Peter Doverne, I hope I pronounce his name correctly. So he is a Canadian and also a writer and an environmentalist, but also a professor at the University of British Columbia in the study programs of international relations. I think it is important to bring his analysis by looking at the environmental issue in terms of the injustice, that is not only cultural, it is also material. Why it is very important also to think about it, because maybe it's hard to explain when it is cultural because it is untouchable, but material can be used as a way to explain what it is, what's happening. So together with the cultural bias that we already understood, I think Peter Doverne, like brilliantly connected to the idea of materiality, that AI in the wild, this is the way he expressed his idea that the environmental and social cost of AI in terms of mineral extraction for hardware, massive energy consumption, and e-waste. So in e-waste, I put this one because I took the picture. So this is for from I think Wikipedia project. There is a course that we can understand. So you can click it later when you got like this one. So you can go over there and also to learn about this map. So let's take a look about how a global north is actually wasting. It's very nasty. The way that, for example, I think the runaway production, like textile industry, fast fashion, when we have a discussion or conversation within the environmental discourse, that, for example, like many American brand, many Western brand in general are actually produced in a global South countries for the reason of, for example, cheap labors and then cheap rent, like for the cost. They try to price the economic cost. And then they sell it with, of course, the biggest margin or the biggest profit will be benefiting for the Western's economy. But when it is becoming the waste, it is like a thrown and then back to global South countries, like with the branding of, for example, charity. So, well, it's like a global nasty cycle that also we need to criticize. And I think using what's it, the idea of the AI in the wild by Peter Doverne is like reminded us about this as a disproportionately externalized to the global south, as the other being externalized, like whatever the tailing, the resources coming from the global south, and then the tailing is being thrown to the global south. And it is very ironic for sure that the very communities who are often most harmed by the cultural biases of AI are the same communities bearing the physical burden of its infrastructure. This completes, this actually making the complete vicious cycle of extraction and operation. Yeah. Let's go back to Sophia Noble in the idea of algorithm of operation. So I will use this paradigm to explain why even like in the structure or the infrastructure and technology of AI, it could be the repetition of such operation by the Western countries or a global North, global economic power to the global South countries as the operation through the algorithms. Now I would like to involve you again in a conversation. Okay, let's think about this question. Having seen this hidden cost, what is one question we should be asking about the AI tools we use or develop? I also use the question of develop. I believe that one of us over here might think about developing also AI tools in the future. So let's think through this question, like asking about the AI tools, the available one that we use, or us as a users, or if you as a developer, what question? please submit one question that we as educators, policymakers, developers, researchers, academicians should be asking about the ethics of the AI tools in our spheres. So let me go again to our AHA slides. Oh, I think I can just go this one and then go to the second slide. Okay. So I think this is still the same code, but now I bring you to the second question. So once again, just to give you the idea what the question is all about, that the scale of this problem can feel overwhelming, right? So let's pause for a moment and think like, what do you call it? Like a do reflection. Instead of looking at the answers, let's think about the right questions. It could be our future research question too. Also think if we are not only a user, but also a developer. So like any roles that you projected or in the future or currently, please type your answer. I mean, your question as an answer. Should we make our students dependent on AI? I think it's also a critical question, like before the coming of the interconnected world, smartphone and so on, like right now, it's like, what is it? Like there are also trend that people moving to the dumb phone. Like after overwhelming with all those smartphones. I think this is also a good question to ask that, should we make our students dependent on AI? Why yes, why not? So is the use of this tool justifiable because of their benefits or there are other motives driving their use by AI? Maybe we can also be the source of data. So sometimes our motivation of using AI is also because AI is like machine learning. And if we use the AI, we also have a potential of training the AI by putting our data source. It could be also be advantageous for both sides. For those who would like to have our data, yeah, I think data is becoming important resources right now. People are stealing data, people are selling data, and data could be economical. But also from the perspective of the users, if they don't use, their voices might not be heard. What kind of word are we really trying to create with these tools? What's the model we are aiming for? And I think I already mentioned Ignacio and McLean's data feminism. So can we also driving, for example, AI only as a uses, or we also need to develop, or how can we influence the data production, the politics of producing the data, or the politics of collecting the data, or the politics of democratizing the data? Yes, it's things beyond its programming. Because when it is programmed, it's create a structure, and then who make the program, and then what is being allowed, and then what are being rejected could also be something that we could critically think. Let me go down. is AI actually helping humans? I think it's very human. What you bring it into the humanity issues. Yeah. Right now, not only AI, I think the coming of humanoid robotic things will soon also be part of our life for everyday cultures. There might be creating also different challenge or even social problem, in addition to its advancement in the name of the technology development. The use of AI tools may seem justified because of their many benefits, such as improving efficiency. Yes, it's like having assistants, right? Well, I need also to tell you, like whenever I have an idea, I sometimes, also I use like this AI, like to, for example, make shortening or when I comparing the data or information, because it is easier. I think AI is just like more the complex and sophisticated tools or the advanced. I mean, in the old days, we use, for example, SPSS, and then we use Atlas.ti, like as our research assistant or research tools. Why not using AI now if it is useful and we can use it? So yes, keep finding all of this question, because by having critical question, meaning that we're looking at the gap, what is lacking, what is missing, what is left behind, what we need to improve. So we need to always go back with such question. So allow me to continue to the next slide. So I don't know if you're like a moviegoers, but I think these three ladies is the great examples. Not the movie that I wanted to point out, but rather this is historically part of the NASA and the American history, should be or must be recognized. But in fact, the three figures are hidden. Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, and also Mary Jackson. While they're really working in NASA and they're contributing, even like a very, what do you call it? What I would say is like a very important person, yeah, behind the success of NASA project, but they were not written in the history of NASA success just because they are Black and they are women working during the time of separate but equal in the Southern America. As we know that Kennedy Space Center is in Florida, which is in the South. So there is a kind of erasure. Their monumental work was physically segregated and historically obscured. So can you imagine, like, when, what is it, like those figure axes are really important, but their existence is being negated, is being unrecognized or even unrecorded, but their work is being used. And even like making the project successful. So D'Ignacio and Klein, using the movie that I really, this is like a great example that in the act of data feminism, it challenges who is seen as a knower and recenters erase expertise. But also I want to use the idea of the movie maker by invisibilizing those three figures, meaning this is an effort of bringing the hidden figures above the water from the state of being invisible to be visible. Yeah, so the knowledgeable, the data, the pedagogical styles of the global South are the hidden figures. That's what I would like to highlight of educational AI. So decolonizing is the work of making them visible. Of course, we can only do this by understanding the AI structure, the technology, and how possibly making the invisible to be visible. So the new paradigm that I would like to bring is from Coldry and Mejias, the extraction, rather than extraction coming from one source or one curator, the Western curator, but it rather supposed to be a co-creation. So I think this is like the idea that we need to think through. We must apply to Huey Smith, the decolonizing methodologies principles, to the world of education technology. This requires, of course, a multi-pronged approach. And I want to outline 3 paths forward. Let's think through about this. So using the idea as a new paradigm, using Huey Smith decolonizing methodologies, and using D'Ignacio and McLean data feminism. Yeah. So when this is one of my classroom in Bowling Green State University. I think I try to recall. I think it was like a spring in 2023. I hope it's right, or yeah, maybe spring or summer. Yeah, back in 2023. So 3 of us like holding a class in a communication department at the time, and then we also in the project funded by the university at the time that embracing AI. And of course, we talk about AI in the classroom. We work using AI in the classroom with all of our students, but we also give them the alternative. So this article, you can also find it in the material that I believe already been shared by the organizer of this talent quest. So we have this original article derived from our classroom, the activities of teaching with primary resources. While we also teaching with AI, we also give our student the exposure with the primary resources as a direct decolonial practice. And then this activity, the design activity of the classroom activities can be found on the book. That's the cover. So the book was published. I could not share the ebook because it is not available in such ebook. Yeah, but I give you the material of which I wrote or becoming part of the team writing that with my what is it called, co-authors over there. So it was part of the second edition, but I did not involve in the first audition. So yes, you can find it in the book. So it's pretty new, published in December 2024. Oh, will almost be a year. So from this idea, the first path is one we can all start on immediately in our own classroom and libraries. It's a written to teaching with primary resources. Yeah, which is like a topic that I've explored with my colleagues. So this is a direct decolonial practice when students engage with raw, uncurated historical document, local archives, and cultural artifact material that not pre-digested by an algorithm. They build critical literacy. So by exposing them to the primary resources, it will give the opportunity to have the critical literacy. When I prompted, for example, like a brief history of Dutch colonialization in Indonesia, for example, there might be like the major history, but it might not represent the local context of Dutch colonialism, for example, in my local area in Surakarta, where I live right now. So meaning that I might find this information by have the awareness of critical literacy by digging to primary resources that might give me the access to the information. So they are forced to confront multiple, often conflicted or conflicting perspectives. Most importantly, they are empowered to construct their own interpretation, not always rely on AI. So I think this is also the colonial methods in practice in our classroom, is give them the balance in finding resources, to become the meaning makers of themselves. So even they can also what is like a confront like what the AI already gave them as the information or as the answers of their prompting. So this is the pedagogical embodiment of what Smith called as reclaiming and storytelling. They have their own story, even in the process when they're digging the information. But I think this is also, while we can use AI, for example, by feeding, certain AI tool with rubric, and then they can do the correction. Sometimes we also need to think through how, for example, authentic assessment, like the like having exam of interview, having talk, having focus the discussion, it might be better rather than giving them an assignment of making paper that they can just ask the AI to write the paper, but not their own contribution. But by having talk, conversation, focused discussion, presentation, we might know and we can measure their learning process better in the today's context of the world that already dominated by AR practice. So second of all, what I would like to bring forward is using Ruha Benjamin. Well, Ruha Benjamin always using the terms coming from the abolition, the slavery, separate but equal, Jim codes. If you are familiar with the history of Black in the Southern America, so that's the way Ruha Benjamin have those various vocabularies. Like abolitionists is to call those people who believe of freeing slaves, during the antebellum era, that becoming the amendment for 13 to 14 in the U.S. Constitution, agreed in 1865, which was the end of slavery. So those abolitionist tools pointed by Ruha Benjamin is the technology that designed not to make oppressive system more efficient, but to dismantle them and build new. Yeah, so I think this is the idea. And then second, what I would like to emphasize also, this means that by embracing participatory design, meaning that just like the classroom that we design, and on my previous slide, for example, we must build AI by, for, and with the global South, meaning that there is like collaboration. The terms by, for, and with is the participatory highlighting. Of course, for educators and student researchers and those philosophers from the global South need to be heard. This isn't about getting feedback at the end. It's about setting power from the very beginning, from the stage of the problem definition. It also means of actively building culturally sourced data sets. We need initiatives to create rich ethical data sets from local literature, oral histories, and pedagogical practices. This is what we call as an act of recalling our knowledge system and ensuring that they are part of the digital future. whatever happened, it happened. But we also need to concern about the production of the knowledge in the future, who will involve by, and then what's it, for whom, and also with whom those future should be part or intended to. So using data feminism framework, yeah, so how the look of justice in terms of system. So from this idea, from data feminist framework, finally, we can all adopt a new mindset guided by the principles of data feminism. First, examine the power, always ask who benefit from this tool, who is harmed, and then second of all, elevate emotion and embodiment, value lived experience for sure, and cultural context as valid, crucial data. A student feeling that I mentioned, that you also involved in answering my question, the feeling of erasures as, what is a data point. And thirdly, consider context. I think like the tradition of anthropologists back in the 50s and 60s, but still this is from the Orientalists using Edward Said's idea. Like people from Western try to make research in the East, and then they try to living. But the idea of understanding context is very important. Yeah. So let's think through anthropologists like Malinowski, yeah, in the 60s coining the idea of context. Contexts are very important because considering context, meaning reject the myth of a universal solution. Sometimes we use the universal regime or the paradigm, the mindset of Euro-American centric as the source or even a way of thinking. And then the fourth one is make labor visible. Acknowledge the often invisible work. Hidden figures, the three scientists in NASA, the Black women scientists in NASA, they were not recorded, and their labor is not being, what do you call it? Just like the way the global South being invisibilized. So acknowledge the often invisible work of data curation and data cleaning. Who clean the data? As a so couple like in this last 3 months, I work with my student working with Wikimedia, and then we do like a wiki training so that our students in Indonesia can involve and do the data feeding with such a semantic web-based globally recognized and used like Wikipedia, one of the product of Wikimedia. I realized like how much there are a lot of information, like local information about Indonesia or Surakarta, the city where I live, was not there. How can it is visible when people, for example, as the like early information, sometimes we use Wikipedia because it's like reliable and it's always there, like on top of our Google search. And sometimes we use it as early information. So I think like this effort can also visibilizing those being invisible. So again, I would like to involve you in the question. So I will touch upon the call of for action. So meaning that's going to be the last part of my talk, but I also want to involve you within this question. What is one concrete small step we can take to, so like in practice, so let's make like a material action for you in your classroom or as a researcher, what will you do or plan or think about, yeah, after this conversation to decolonize an educational practice or tool in our context. For example, I mentioned the way that I was working in my class in the US setting with the American kids, college. And so we use not only technology, Google, AI, but we also force them to understand the process of data mining by coming to the library. So what about you. Let me go to our slide. Now let's go to the third question. Let's think about it like a concrete small step we can take to decolonize educational practice. Or will you like bring student, or will you becoming anti-AI? That's extreme. Yeah, but how can you? Yeah, for example, what I was doing. What is it like in the practice, and I use the activity in the teaching by heart. For example, we balance the use of technology and the understanding of the process of data curation, data collection, data mining by the exposing the student and researchers with the primary sources, so they can see that there might be deletion, there might be marginalization, or there might be hidden data. Okay, peer learning, I love it. Yeah. Do the presentation and then asking for, yeah. So this is like the way that what, like pedagogically that I'm always trying to do. Yeah, I agree with this one. Participatory technique, yes. Because from the idea of by, for, and with is very important. Data for who? Yeah, by whom? And then with who? Retrain AI tools on our data and our language. Could be. Yeah. So meaning you also think like to be a developer. For example, like making AI alternatives, for example. Or even we train this machine with information that might be, not visible. Flip the classroom with the real situation. I also have the answer in chat box too. You can also participate there. Yeah. Because my screen first actually blocked with the PowerPoint. So sorry if you say something there and I didn't read or mention over there. Okay, I think we have the third answers. Instead of relying only on Western sources or perspectives, use local languages, stories, and realities. So learning reflects your students' culture and context. Great. Culture as identity, context. It is interesting that I always like to use this idea in my classroom of language planning and policy. Instead of like aligning what kind of policy, bottom-up policy, and also top-down policies that could be critically thing, but also the idea, for example, learning English. Yeah, we use English, for example. Well, it's great, like to connect us, so we can make conversation like today. But do we also still recognize our local languages? If, for example, we are English teachers, are we also thinking about the language endangerment, for example, that we also involved in those making the extinction of our local language? Could be. Give our own context in particular, so as to gain recognition as a cultural distinct group. Yes, yeah, I think it's very important context. And I didn't give you Malinowski's literature anthropologist, but I think it's very important to keep thinking about the context. Develop your own AI tool. Okay, I wish you like motivate you. Yes. When I think in my last talk in Talent Quest a couple of months ago, I when I was skeptical with tools like ChatGPT produced by, for example, US company, then the arrival of DeepSeek from China, which I hope it could be like an alternative. But in fact, because it's like accessing data, just like all the big data sources, just like Wikipedia, and there's also major sources of such AI tool, for example. Well, it's pretty much the same that tools like DeepSeek developed in China that's also using all those available data that still invisibilize those, for example, Global South voices. Okay, so let me continue. So I will touch the last part of my talk today. Yeah, so humanized education. So what we can do, we must first humanize data. Back to data feminism, I think it's very critical to think about it. Decolonizing the algorithm is an ethical imperative. This is what we need to think. It is ethical and it is imperative. Yeah. So because it is like democratizing the information. Is if Western, even though right now the pendulum is swinging to the far right, yeah, to the populism, but yeah, the belief on democracy, yeah, should be like equally respecting also the diversity, yeah, of the global world that also represent this diverse identity. And then going back to the literature or to the theories that I use in the talk today, it requires us to confront the new gem code and data colonialism. That there is no room for the reproduction of the oppressive past, or we involve to this kind of oppressive word, or by reiterating, by reinforcing, or replicating. So we need to have this, what kind of digital future we wish for in terms of participatory, in terms of co-creation. And then centering the voices, knowledge, and well-being of the Global South. Built using abolitionist, feminist, and participatory frameworks. Yeah, so using all those philosophies of feminist work, abolitionist work, participatory framework, I think, the ending point is to have those algorithms that represent the diversity, the multiculturalism, or representing of both global and north, if we believe on a such aspiration. So yeah, let's ensure that the AR revolution does not repeat the painful revolution of the colonial past, but instead fostering a truly equitable and pluralistic future for learning. So I think this is like the most innovative thing that we can do is to build the most inclusive system. So I think this is like by ensuring that there will be like a revolution that is not mirroring the painful from the past, we also need to think about inclusive system. So that's the list of references that I have. So I hope that we can also do what question and answer. So let me click my video on so we can so who will like moderating, or if you have a question, you can type it. So I don't know, maybe Iswa or Wakpas. So yeah, feel free. If you have a question, you have something to discuss, or if we still have time. Oh, so I already like a 1 hour talk. I just did not realize. Sorry.
Yeah,
I have no warning or alert about the time. So I'm thinking it is okay. So
something or share something, please raise your hand so we can unmute you and you will.
I'm sorry, it is like a theoretically heavy, but I just would like to give like the theoretical framework. I think I missed like a one slide over there. Yeah, so but we can always come back. So this is also to give us framework using anasing that sometimes we are trapped into a universal regime globally. So anasing research, this is a researcher from Berkeley, having research in Indonesia in Meratus Mountain, thinking about what is it, the global needs of wooden. Has already been taking the forest of Indonesia in Borneo, but also this is not only global power but also local that also play a role, yeah, taking advantage also. So there are friction, so meaning that there always be there universal regime, even local people sometimes also following what's the universal regime is. Okay, so I just like what is it, missed that in a framework. Please, if you have a question, like what you think in your classroom. I mean, we don't have to be afraid of AI. We didn't have Google in 90s. We didn't have a computer in the 50s. We didn't have a printing machine in the 16th century. But, well, that's human progression. There'll always be challenge within the context of our time. Well, professional use AI for academic research. I mean, we can do brainstorming. Like AI have a very rich data. That's a good like entry point. Like in the old days, we use Wikipedia, we use Google, what is being available. Right now, like Science Direct, they also have AI tools that can compare. For example, we have a research on a particular idea. So I answering the question from Timori Decolonizing. I hope that I pronounce your name correctly. We can use AI brainstorming, like what works have been done within particular field or within particular interests. We can ask them, but also need to be careful of the AI hallucination. Yeah, sometimes AI just like using because we don't know like what sources that they access to provide and giving answer to our prompts, that we need to always cross check. Yeah, even though it seems like, you know, like the objectivity seems like complicated. Sometimes they also what is like don't have like what we want. Yeah, so we need always to recheck the information. Yeah. We can use, so the step is we can use for like a brainstorming, asking what popular works that might be there. AI, I believe, can access data sources like even Wikipedia, if you also use them as the early sources of information to know the basic understanding and information of a thing. But again, like compare and then finding cross-checking with the information. I think it's not new. Like a fact check when we in the age of social media is something that are really important. And also as an academician, when we got information, also we need to cross-check that as a researcher. I mean, that's so data mining can be done in such a way. And again, be careful with the AI hallucination. Sometimes even they provide a name and then name of article, but actually it is not it does not exist. So I think we have Basira Mojadidi raising hand.
Halo Bapak, selamat malam. Terima kasih.
Selamat malam, pakai bahasa Indonesia. Ya, ini decolonizing. Terima kasih. Terima kasih. I feel like included karena menggunakan
It was actually interesting, and I have a question. It is what knowledge, values, and experiences are systematically excluded from AI dataset? My question. Thank you, Bapak.
Okay, sama-sama. Yeah, experience. Yes, I remember one of my coworker right now, my colleague, but my past supervisor, coined the term of epistemology of doing. Process and experience are very very important in terms of knowledge gaining. Yeah. So in a grounded theory, constructivist grounded theory, for example, like a value, even the experience becoming our future theory when we learn from the experience. Because sometimes, for example, the way that we're growing up and then gaining knowledge are actually through our experience. So when a very simple example is that the epistemology of doing is that when we expose our student of doing the process, they might understand things better rather than we fit them up with the result or the answer of a question, rather guide them to be able to answer the question on their own, because the experience will, the process will give them not only the answer, but also the production of knowledge as part of the experience. Yeah, I hope it can answer your question. Yes, this is could be part of the decolonizing thing, because experience going to be very contextual. And in Tuhiwa Smith is using storytelling. Telling your story is actually telling a new knowledge for others who never been listening to the story. I hope it answered your question, Lucille. Dr. Hina Amjad, please.
Dr. Taufiq, it was a wonderful session. I really enjoyed the session. My
Thank
question
you.
is that you talked about global South voices to be heard. My question is, do you think global South voices are audible enough to be heard in the world at the moment? Are we in South doing enough work to get ourselves recognized? I believe that we are too much in awe of AI, which West has created. And you asked for our opinion, but what do you suggest should be done to get Global South heard?
Well, it's a very tough question. I don't know. I'm also the one that capable to answer the question, because this is like our challenge, right? Why even like a global South axis is just already something that we need to critically question, because like a North global, I think it's about power. It's about like who have the authority. So the production of the term and criteria of the North and South themselves is already, if I might also criticize it, problematic. But this is also the way that we think, like who are being left behind and who are holding the power. So I think like most of the references that I put on the table right now is all those are within the effort of making the invisible to be visible. But again, like a very classic reading, for example, about neocolonialism back into the 80s. Yeah, I try to remember like what name but not come up right now, but maybe you know what I mean, is that even sometimes the leadership in the global South are actually those perpetuating or becoming the new form of colonialism, that becoming the comprador within the local, and even like they like more evil than those, for example, colonial power. We need also to think about it. In some countries in the global South, like having what do you call it? Political chaos, and then horizontal conflict between the local elites and the people themselves. It is how can, for example, Global South are talking about the visibility of their identity while, for example, busy with the conflict that at some points may be created also by this global power just to force them busy with their local thing, so they don't like move to. Yeah, so this is like a, like a happening. Yeah, Dr. Hina Amjad. Yeah. So keep questioning that. That's like a lot of, like something, even like the conflict right now, like the pendulum is swinging back to what if like a far right. I mean, it is also something that we need to, critically address. Like how diversity, multiculturalism is, what is it, something that, like being demonized right now. So I heard right now, like just my college, like got a Fulbright recently, but it was like a repealed because she has a research on climate change and gender. So right now, even like the issue gender and then climate change, that I thought it's going to be like a develop more, but even in the age today could be demonized and having problem in get funding. So it is like, like something that even worrying in terms of.
Agreed. I agree with you. But it was a wonderful session. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, also, well, that's an ongoing question. Critical
It is
question.
definitely. But it's definitely a topic of research, like
Yes.
it's definitely a topic of research.
It is. I mean, we can have like that's becoming like a big umbrella, and then we can put like the context and the different like a different context. Like in Indonesia, for example, right now, like even a couple months ago, we have like a huge protest. Um, but thankfully, it was not like a develop into revolution or changing regime, but there's like a more negotiation. But there's also the what's it, the example of how what I mentioned just now about.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, if there is still question, I'm still here. If there's no more question, yeah. So what is it like? Thank you very much for your attention. Yeah, and I hope it's like give us insight on what like and it give us like a insight. For me, it's like an ongoing discussion. I'm still like to keep what is it like working what I'm working right now, especially like the how AI already been disrupt our teaching and educational activities.